Hey guys, it's me again, and here we go with Panama. And it's the first people to kind of live in Panama, lived around 11,000 BC. By 2500 BC, they had learned to make pottery, and later people from the region traded with others as far north as Mexico and far south as Peru. As the first European to land in Peru, Panama. No, it's like it is from Panama. As the first European to land in Panama was a Spaniard named Rodrigo Galvan de Bastidas in 1501, as the first Spanish settlement in Panama was made in 1510. And on the 25th of September 1513, Vasco Núñez de Balboa became the first European to see the Pacific Ocean, which he called the South Sea, which he claimed for Spain. And in 1519, Pedro Arias de Avila found Panama City, which the indigenous people were decimated. Meanwhile, the indigenous people were decimated by European diseases, as they had no resistance, as the survivors were then enslaved. As the Spanish introduced a kind of feudal system, which indigenous people were forced to work on their estates, European estates. And when Pizarro conquered the Incas in 1533, Panama became a transit port for gold, and on its way from Peru to Spain, as the precious metal was taken overland by mule from the Pacific coast to the Atlantic coast. However, the great riches of the area attracted the attention of the English. In 1572, Francis Drake raided Nombre de Dios, and in 1571, a Welshman named Henry Morgan burned Panama City, and it was rebuilt in a new location several kilometers away in 1673, and finally in 1746. The treasure route was changed, as it was then taken around the Cape Horn, which is kind of like around Chile and Argentina. And Panama became independent from Spain in 20th of November 1821, and at first Panama was part of a super-state called Gran Colombia, which consisted of Panama, Colombia, Peru, Bolivia, and Venezuela. However, Gran Colombia soon broke up, and Panama remained attached to Colombia. And in 1846, the USA negotiated to build the railways across Panama. A new railway across the isthmus was completed in 1855, as the French made the first attempt to dig a canal across Panama. As the works on the scheme began in 1881, but the company went bankrupt in 1889. And from 1899 to 1902, a civil war was fought in Colombia and in parts of what is now Panama, as it was called the War of a Thousand Days. And on the 3rd of November 1903, Panama became independent from Colombia, and encouraged by the USA, as President Theodore Roosevelt was keen to dig a canal across Panama, as the USA had signed a treaty with Panama giving them sovereign rights over the canal zone. As work began on the canal in 1904, a huge force of migrant workers from many different countries were brought to Panama to work on the canal, and many of them died of diseases like yellow fever, as the workers include West Indians, and Chinese. And nonetheless, on the 7th of January 1914, the first ship sailed through the Panama Canal, as the Panama Canal was officially opened by President Woodrow Wilson on the 12th of July 1920. As a new treaty between the USA and Panama was signed in 1936, but there was beginning to be some resentment to the US rights over the canal zone. First, finally, on the 9th of January 1964, students rioted in Panama, as 20 people were killed in the riots. as the 9th of January is now Martyrs' Day in Panama. And then in 1968, the army coup overthrew the elected president, Arnulfo Arias, and afterwards General Omar Torrijos became leader of Panama. And in 1977, he succeeded in persuading US President Carter to sign a treaty which would give Panama In 1977, he succeeded in persuading US President Carter to sign a treaty which would give Panama complete control of a canal to Panama by 31st of December 1999. And while a couple of years later, in 1981, Torrijos was killed in a plane crash, and by 1983 he was replaced by Manuel Noriega, as Noriega introduced a repressive regime, but the relations with the USA deteriorated. And in 1987, the USA began economic sanctions. And then in 1988, Noriega was indicted on drug charges in the USA. And in 1989, presidential elections were held in Panama and were won by Guillermo Endara, but Noriega was simply annulled the results of the election. Finally, on the 20th of December 1989, the USA invaded Panama and bombed Panama City. However, on the 25th of December 1989, Noriega took refuge in the Vatican Embassy, but was captured in January 1990. So it was there less than a month, pretty much. While Guillermo Endara, the winner of the 1989 election, was made president of Panama, he was replaced in 1994 by Ernesto Perez de Dares, and then in 1999 by Maria Moscoso, who became the first female president of Panama. And as of the treaty signed in 1977, the Panama Canal was handed over to Panama in 1999. And in 2004, Martin Torrijos became president in 2004, and then in 2009, Ricardo Martinelli became president. And between 2007 and 2016, there was a new project to enlarge the Panama Canal. As today, the population stands at around 4.1 million, with about 880,000 living in Panama City itself. And there's also the legend of El Cadello, whereas when you walk in the forest, you have to be careful for the animal, as a Cadello could be one of two dogs that could appear out of nowhere. There's one white and one black. As the white one is there to take care of you, so if it appears, you don't have to worry, as it just follows and protects you. But if the black one appears, then you have to say the Our Father prayer backwards, and if you don't, then the black dog will just grow and grow, and it eventually becomes Satan, and nothing will then save you, kind of thing. So be careful and be good people, okay? Bye for now.